All right, let's see if I am live. I'll boost my signal. We'll get started here in a few minutes. We're developing a new campaign for my home table. Checking signal. Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Checking signal. Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Sounds good. All right, cool. Let's reduce this down so it's not in the way. There we go. Hey, guys. We'll grab this here, and then we'll skip past that. I'm going to do a quick intro here. Hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, and I publish them online. I've been focusing attention on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition here since the release of the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, which was, I think that was in 2017. That was the first Magic the Gathering setting that Wizards had published, and it didn't have anything to do with color magic. So that was when I decided I need to I wanted to create a color magic system, and I knew I could do it. So there's a link in the description down below to that bundle of books. But that was the first effort. I've had a number of other books since then. You may have been following along on me building the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration supplement that we've also been building out here on stream, which should be publishing in the next couple weeks. And since my home table is finished our current campaign, this is an opportunity for us to lean into new tools. Let's get this out of the way. And okay, great. So if this stuff is interesting to you, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notifications when I'm live in the future. The 300 some odd episode live stream of me building the Spelljammer Combat Exploration is here in the playlist, which this mining adventure content is being added to as well. So we were here yesterday. This is our second session. At the beginning of March, I'm anticipating starting up a new campaign. I've been a DM for 36 years. In 5th edition, I run a campaign from level 20 in about 200 to 250 hours typically. I just finished my 3rd campaign in 5th edition, doing 1 to 20, maybe like the 8th campaign that I've had over the years. But these last 3 cycled up to level 20, and so when we hit level 20, we start over, and then we build a new campaign and start over, a new campaign and start over. There you go. I've had, this is the second group that I've assembled that we've been able to accomplish going from level 1 to 20. And so when we finished the time travel Groundhog Day campaign that for the past X years, they wanted to get into the Spelljammer stuff that I'm building. So we are creating an Eberron themed Asteroid Belt mining operation campaign. So what does that mean? So the idea here is that there is an orbit of asteroids that encircle Eberron. So we have the planet, which the team will have minimal involvement. If everything goes as planned, the team won't be spending time on the planet. They're going to be spending time in orbit, where all their responsibilities are. So you have the planet in a 10,000 mile space. Eberron's about 8,000 miles in diameter, if I recall correctly, about the same as Earth. So it sits inside of a 10,000 mile space, and then there's a neutral zone of 10,000 miles. And then we have the 1, 2, 3 layers of close orbit asteroids, and then we have the far realm. And the far realm is an undefined size where there is an Oort cloud worth of billions of asteroids that could potentially come into near orbit that would thus be within range for the team to realistically salvage or extract resources through mining operations on these asteroids, to then gather the material, to send to a refinery, to then convert into a commercial product that could be exchanged for resources that are then wealth that you accumulate to spend on additional resources. So we have the resources is a unit of measurement depicting your guild's proficiency in an industry. Wealth is converted to resources, and extraction is converted to wealth through refinement. So we extract ore, it's refined, then converted to wealth, which is then tag back to the team's organization as resource points. So in the current configuration that we're working on, we're actually making use of the in-command system that I have some streams for. I have a playlist called In Command that you can check out on my channel if you're really interested in that sort of stuff. You can dive down here into my playlists here, and you'll see the In Command of Army, Guilds, and Kingdoms. This is the playlist that spends some time looking at how different resources and specialists can be built to run a guild operation instead of individual characters. That's kind of the theme here. It's a platoon style campaign where individual characters, in this campaign we aren't going to be focusing on each player is commanding a single character, is portraying a single character and is leading them from level 1 to 20 in a personal campaign among the team. In this campaign, the idea is that the team as a collective are the decision makers of a asteroid mining operation. And so when they inject themselves into a particular task or adventure for the session, they're going to adopt whatever personas are most convenient to the achievements of the goal. So I'm envisioning dungeon delving into asteroids to check for risks and monster hunting inside the asteroid, patrolling and protecting the proximity of an asteroid that's being mined, to protect it from roaming monsters, poachers, and pirates that may want to eat your crew, rob your crew, or kill your crew, whether the monsters, poachers, or pirates. There you go. There's also negotiating trade and making alliances or threatening hostilities, which would be a more diplomacy-based negotiation where you are connecting with representatives from a different faction and either gaining their assistance and borrowing or trading resources with them, or you are escalating tension with them by attempting, like, say, protect your territory, or advise them that that you're going to be invading their territory, for instance. There's also negotiating different refinement resources that you can get access to. And these are all things that we'll have to flesh out. And some of these things will be worthy of adventuring, others won't. Delving an asteroid is worthy of adventure. Protecting a territory from monsters, pirates, and poachers, that is worthy of adventure. Investigating incoming rocks from the far realm, that could be worth adventuring. Reclaiming territories that have been taken from you by rival factions could be worthy of adventure. Taking territories from rivals can be worthy of adventure. Random threats to through the orbit in general could have you allying or opposed to different factions as well. So I think there might be enough opportunity in there to have a storyline kind of emerge on its own. The meta narrative that I anticipate running on this is that these different factions are going to have geopolitical conflicts that create opportunities for the team to zoom into where the line of scrimmage is, or to be able to look past the line of scrimmage to what the motives of the different commanders are that are making these decisions on NPC factions, to see what you can do to alleviate pressure or increase it as needed. So there's exploration, which is delving space, asteroids in general, or different sectors of an orbit. There's also exploration in intrigue and espionage and finding out the motives or interests of other factions or their whereabouts and activities. Combat, obviously, is spelunking and tanking. Combat and defense. So you have your combat stuff there, you have your exploration pillar, and then your social pillar would be negotiations and interrogations, and divinations, I think, are the three major channels that we can work through there. Negotiations with different factions, interrogations when you are capturing enemies that are attempting to poach, pirate, for instance, or slay. You could potentially obtain hostages or captives that you can interrogate to get more information about. And then there's just maintaining trade alliances, negotiating exchange of resources. That's a pseudo-social. Like social to me, social in general. Okay, so if we're looking at the if we're looking at the three pyramid, if there's three pillars of adventure in D&D, which is combat, exploration, and social. Social combat has the most refined action economy with actions, bonus actions, movement, and reactions on a per round basis. And then there is the exploration pillar, which doesn't have such a deep level of refined activity, but can involve things like movement per round and actions generally resolved with ability checks or group team skill checks, where people are making ability checks to get results from things. And then there's social pillar, which has basically, it's just narrative, where you're expressing your ideas, and if what you're saying makes sense to the NPCs that you're communicating with, you can progress a storyline without having any roles at all, because you're just jiving, you're grooving with the NPCs that are in the game, and there's no opposition. So it's just sort of an exchange of information, like a lore dump. It's like an interactive lore dump, or like a more interactive exposition, that the DM is providing information and opening up new channels for the team to be able to have access to new plot points or discover new clues. But these don't necessarily require any kind of a die roll to resolve. So things like interrogations and negotiating can involve die rolls if you want to gamify the progress of your objectives inside of the conversation. But it's completely up to the DM at how much of that die rolling actually occurs. D&D by nature is a combat simulator game that places the highest emphasis on the combat pillar. That's where all the details, like probably 50% of the work is involved with combat. How do characters move? What can they do? What are the results of effects that they can take during a round of combat? How do you sap resources from characters in combat? How can characters be killed? Because the fail state in 5e, there's activities and then there's fail states. And in a well-built game, the fail state of any action leads your character to engage the core principle of the game. The core principle, the core pillar of Dungeons and Dragons is combat simulation. So generally, the result of exploration and social encounters, if things go badly, generally leads to combat or loss of hit points, like a trap. And when you do a bad exploration check, you're going to take falling damage or pop a trap or trigger an effect that's going to sap resources in the form of hit points, spell slots, and time. In combat, you can lose hit points, resources, action economy, and time, and hit points being the most significant, killing you. Traps can kill you by taking away their hit points. Conversations generally can't kill you unless you're dealing with like a celestial or a devil or a demon that speaks telepathically and deals psychic damage when you have a sentence of conversation with them. That's a fun for people that are looking to escalate tensions in your conversations with extraplanar beings. Psychic damage during conversations is a really fun way to make you efficient in your conversation points. Otherwise, they'll just ramble you to death. But that's a means of blending the social space into the combat pillar. So if we're lining up, I'll draw. If we're lining up combat pillar, exploration pillar, and social pillar, where there's the most risk here, there's moderate risk here, and there's no risk here to damage, you can subvert that expectation by applying damage to conversations that you have. Hence the idea of psychic damage dealt to anybody that's talking to devils, demons, outer planar powers, like your patron if you're a warlock, for example. So there's ways for like in exploration, you can take damage by failing a trap. And this is an idea that in social you can take damage in conversations. Or it could cost you a resource in that you have to say, if you're maintaining a connection with an otherworldly power while performing divination tasks, you might have to expend spell slots or mana or take damage to keep that channel open so that you can continue asking questions. So that becomes a social combative space that's sapping your hit point resources, right? So these are different ways to blend the different pillars of adventure. So we have all three pillars present at this point. So I'm just going to reiterate those things. 3 pillars of adventure: combat, exploration, social. Pillar, tasks, risks. Sorry, not tasks, economy. Per round. Per round slices. And the risk is HP, resources, action economy, and time. Exploration. Let's scooch these over a bit. This would be ability/group checks. Social is it's just a narrative space. Risk is generally going to be resources and time. So the one thing that's consistent across these things is time and resources. Every task you take is going to eat up time. The way that we have the system configured currently is the team. This is a lunchtime game I run with my coworkers. We have 1 hour. So generally what we're attempting to do is have the team is going to approach one task per session. And it'll generally be an exploration or a combat task because these are things that require die rolls. And then they're going to take things that are like less intense exploration tasks that can be resolved with a single die roll. Like for example, recruiting new troops. If the team doesn't want to dive in and invest time in that, then that can be resolved down to an ability or group check. And it takes time and resources to do that, but not necessarily hit points. So we're gonna go with should actually be time, resources, economy, HP. Thank you. Sometimes exploration costs HP and conditions. Sometimes social requires resources. So as we go into larger amounts of action economy to resolve a task, it has more risks and losses associated with it. Or rather to say, when you are engaging in combat, you are risking more things. So there is more action economy invested in preventing you from losing those risks. Exploration has less risks to it. Sometimes hit points. A lot of times it's just your time spent and resources, as in like clues, direction. Resources can also be spell slots, hit dice, and then like per use options like class features. While combat is constantly absorbing or expending resources like hit dice, spell points, hit dice, ammunition, spell charges on magic items. It's a lot more pervasive. While a conversation with somebody might not cost you any resources, but all these things cost time. Combat tends to require the least amount of time, while exploration and social tend to take more time. If you're doing an in-depth social conversation, that could take hours to perform, while exploration could potentially take days while you're traversing across terrain. So there's these things act at different different degrees of loss. So those are your three pillars. So we want to make sure that we have actions that we can perform with each of these. So we know the economy, we know the risks. So what are the tasks? Monsters, pirates, and poachers. Rivals. Yeah, rivals are probably poachers. Excavating. Let's see. There we go. Extracting, prospecting. Add checks here. Extracting, processing, and this would be extracting, prospecting, extracting, negotiating. There, line it up. Combat, monsters, pirates, poachers. Checks is extracting, negotiating, and prospecting, and then recruiting. Extracting, investigating. How do I put that? Extracting is mining resources. Negotiating is contracts and border disputes. Prospecting is discovering new different asteroids and what resources they may hold. delving, extract. Delving would be dungeon crawling through an asteroid when you discover caverns or potential hidden threats inside, which curves into combat with monsters. So I guess this would be. Yeah, it's technically. The task is technically it is technically exploration. So delving, extracting, espionage, negotiating, and prospecting. Negotiating is contract stuff and border disputes. Espionage is gathering information that you otherwise wouldn't have access to, like a heist sort of mission in an enemy territory. Extracting is actually withdrawing, is extracting materials from asteroids for refinement. Delving is the dungeon crawling to discover risks that curves naturally into combat. Then we have as our downtime narrative tasks is recruitment, where you're gathering new troops and new acquiring new resources, recruiting. We'll call that acquisition. Acquisition, recruiting. Yeah, recruiting. That sounds right. Let's see. Acquisition is gathering resources. It's also negotiating here. This is a task that just doesn't necessarily require any kind of checks. Tentative. Okay, so there's technically there's 6 industries using the command system that we've had work on stream. This is based on Adam Hancock's Balduran's Guide to Kingdom Building, which is on the DMsGuild. It's a killer book. The idea is that these are 6 stats that a community can possess: commerce, health, lore, loyalty, military, and religion. But I don't see religion playing a significant role in this campaign unless you really get into Sarlona or druidic activity. So I don't think we would otherwise need religion. Otherwise, we should be able to function fine with these 5 different resources. So this is what each of these resources vaguely means. Commerce is involved with economy, trade, and wealth. Health is involved with longevity of life of the people in your community, nutritional levels, and sanitation. Lore is gathering knowledge, educating people, and finding out espionage lore, sort of like discovering truths, divining answers, sages, stuff like that. Loyalty is your community's culture, their patriotism of your citizens, and the traditions that are formed around your community. And the military is like armed forces, community security, and honoring aspects of valor or self-sacrifice. These are generally converted into tasks. Commerce is generally going to oversee extraction. Health is going to oversee recruitment. Lore is going to oversee prospecting. Loyalty oversees morale. Military oversees combat activity. So let's see if I can take the list of tasks that we just built down here and suss them into their proper spaces. So combat is combat, which is dungeoneering, a dungeon ship. Yeah, those are the two type of combat that we're expecting to have. Dungeon delving and ship combat. So we have combat covered here in the military. That's fine. Checks for delving, extracting. Let's see. Extracting is here. Delving is going to be... I'm going to put that under... Extracting is going to be commerce. Yep, we have that already. Espionage is going to generally be lore. Let's see. Espionage could also be loyalty, but only as a defensive posture. Aggressive, active espionage is lore-based. It could also curve into military, but that's kind of tangential. Let's see. Negotiating. I'm fine with some of these things having multiple points. Delving and delving. You know what? I think we're going to leave delving specifically in military. Espionage. Prospecting belongs in lore. That's for sure. Extracting. Let's see. Recruitment and refining. Oops. Refining. Recruitment. You know, I like the idea of negotiating specifically being in loyalty, because it's force of personality and your ability to be trusted in agreements. That makes a lot of sense to me. Health is recruiting. One. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's gonna call combat, and then ship troops and ships. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so we've got all 9 tasks laid out here. Recruiting for health isn't a lot. So can we get rid of health and drop it down to only 4 resources instead of 5? I bet we could. I bet we can get recruitment into loyalty. So let's get we don't have to have health. So let's take loyalty, and instead of morale, let's call it recruiting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Am I missing something? Combat is resolved. Delving is resolved. Extracting is resolved. Espionage, currently unlisted. Well, there it is. Espionage resolved. Negotiating resolved. Spelled correctly. Prospecting resolved. Acquisition not listed. Recruiting listed. Refining not listed. So acquisition and refining. Acquisition, well, there's refining. Recruiting. Acquisition and recruiting, kind of the same thing. And since we got rid of health, we don't really need to double down on that. So we can make acquisition be a loyalty skill in that. Again, you're negotiating good contracts. You're living up to your honorable, good business dealings. So let's go with acquisition. Let's call it acquisition. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. So we have 8 major tasks that are going to be performed by the team. We have 4 industries in which they will perform those functions. 3 pillars of adventure. Okay, so resources equal point value invested in each industry. More points equals better rolls. Rank, industry rank, 1 to 5. Tasks. Delving, negotiating, acquisition, delving, combat, extracting. Thank you. I still have 20 minutes left. Is that right? I have 20 minutes left? Yeah, we're only at 40 minutes. That's fucking perfect. Acquisition, extracting, acquisition, combat, refining. That doesn't seem right. It's a set. Okay, so acquisition is getting resources, and if you have enough points allocated to a resource, you'll have access to acquiring that thing. What does that mean? Like a gunboat would be a military investment. So you have X amount of points. To get the gunboat might cost you 3 points. So you invest your 3 resources in military to have access to a squadron of gunboats. Same thing with like dungeon delvers or guard duty or defensive perimeter. Different things that can be spent. You can spend your resources on to acquire. Acquisition and refining should require a certain amount of points, but no actual check to perform. It's just if you have enough points invested in acquiring something, like you have to have so many points invested to be able to access that thing. There doesn't need to be a check as long as you have the resources invested to do it. So that becomes a non-task. Refining is converting the extracted extracted materials to convert into wealth that then is pooled as unallocated resources for you to invest. So let's actually write that all down. Extracted materials become refined extraction becomes refined materials. Thank you. Which becomes wealth, which becomes unallocated resources. There you go. Extracting, refinement, espionage, prospecting, acquisition, negotiating, delving in combat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tasks. Cool. We'll save that real quick. Extraction is a commerce resource. Commerce check. Result equals percent of target extracted. So they'll have to figure out the value of resources. That'll be a little bit of a nightmare for me to figure out, but we'll figure it out. Let's see. Industry rank. So you have to have one resource invested into an industry to have a rank. And if you don't have any rank, it's just a raw D20. Good luck. And we'll have DCs set like 13, 16, like 13, 10, 13, 16, 19, 22, 25, 28, and 32. So those are the... It technically goes 1, 4, 7, 10, 13, 16, 19, 22, 25, 28, 31. So there's technically 11 ranks, but one of them, the 11 degrees, but the one is like fail state. So like if it's a 1, you don't technically have to check at all. It just automatically happens. So it's not actually a degree of success. It's just this happens even if you roll 1. This is what you get. So that's like your minimum minimum effort of success, regardless of what happens from there. And so then it'd be on a scale of 1 to 10. For it basically be 1 plus the scale times 3. So a 1 out of a threat, a risk 1 out of 10. So that's determining difficulty. So we have resources, industry check, and we have difficulty, target. There, that's D&D in a nutshell. So what we're going to be looking at doing is having things around skill from, say, 3 to 10. And at first, at lower ranks, we're going to have a range of 3 to 25. So we could potentially hit like at first, with first rank, we can basically hit anywhere from 1 to 8, right? And then as we continue to scale up, we can get anywhere from 4. So it basically goes from 1 to 8, and then 1 to 9, and then 1 to 10. That's third rank that we're looking at, nearly impossible to get that 31. But then as you continue gaining levels, that 31 becomes more feasible. Let's see. I'm sussing things through. Hold on. Rank by renown. It's 3, 7, 10, 17, 25? Does that feel right? I don't think that's right. Hold on. Let's go find our resource table. Three, 10. That's it. 3, 10. 17, 25, 50. Ranked by renown. Renown by missions. That doesn't feel right. Hold on. Let's go find the answer that I actually need. Virginity. Thank you. Oops, too far. Five. Yeah. 6, 55, 153, 325, 1275. So each mission is 10 days. And the idea is that the team has one 10-day period to focus their activity on as a team of potentially 6 players in the 1 hour of game we have to play to resolve whatever task it is, or more than one if they want, that they want to resolve. If they can't finish the activity when the game ends, it's the mission is over. And whatever progress they made, that's as far as they get in that mission. And that's as much progress as they make for the 10 days. If they can't completely defeat a challenge, they'll gain renown in performing the task. So if I perform, we'll start off. If you have, so you can either gain points, you can either gain ranks in an industry by expending points, or by running missions, and each mission is worth a point. You have to the amount of renown that you gain. Like to gain a point of renown, you have to perform a number of missions equal to your renown plus 1. So if I have 10 renown in military, and I want to get to a renown score of 11 in the military, then I would need to perform 11 tasks. If I want to get to 12 in military, I'll have to perform 12 tasks. To get to 17 from 10, I have to perform 98 tasks. So that'd be 980 days that I've spent invested in military-focused tasks. You will slowly accumulate renown this way, but you can invest resources into an industry directly. Instead of gaining experience in that industry through time and effort, you can invest resources to purchase rank or renown in an industry. So, how do we want to do that? The industry rank by renown, renown by missions, renown by resources. 1 per point. 1 point each. Rank by renown is 3. Renown by missions is renown by 3 is 3 points. And then it's 7 times 2, that's 14. 17 minus 10 times 3 is 21. 25 minus 17 is 8 times 4 is 32. And then 25 times 5 is 125. That's 38, 70, 195. Let's see. Mission equals 10 days. 1 per session. Resources awarded. Let's see. This is per industry. There's 4 industries. So that means you can have a total of 790 points invested over the course of the campaign to get all of your industries up to 5 or gain resources. Go for my hour. So where's a good stopping point today? Next thing we need to do is, so we know what the point breakdown is, and when you reach a certain rank in an industry, then these are the die rolls that you get when you're performing the task or the function that you're attempting. So if we had 3rd rank in lore, we'll have invested, we have at least 17 renown to be that rank in lore. And then espionage, then if we perform espionage or prospecting, we would roll a d20 plus a d8 plus 1 to have a range, a possible modifier range of 5 to 31. So that means that we would be able to basically hit anything that's a difficulty of 1 to 10. Basically is the full array, but most likely we're going to end up with 10 and 4, that's 14, 10, 4, that's 17, 20. We're probably going to end up somewhere around difficulty of 6 on average. Sometimes we'll be able to pull off something high like an 8 or a 9. Very almost impossible to get a 10. but also almost impossible for us to fail a 5. Yeah, it'd be almost impossible for us to fail a difficulty of 2, but it could happen. Most likely we're going to be sandwiching somewhere inside the range of 4 to 8. This is probably the band that we're going to be sitting inside of with a 3rd ranked task that we perform. Yeah, that'd be about where that's at. What is that going to be? A 10 plus 6 is it 21? Yeah, this is going to be on the low end. Second high. There's something broken here. I'm gonna draw all this and take. I'm in a rush, so I'm not thinking my numbers through properly. I know there's a logical loop here. I just need to find it. All right. So yeah. So when we come back, well, I've got my session 0 tomorrow, so I'm gonna need to burn some brain power on this tonight. But when we come back on Friday, I'm expecting to have a general idea of how quickly the team can allocate resources and how many resources the team will have initially to invest across the 5 industries. I could just set them all at 1 and then give them a 2nd rank in something else. That might be a good way to do it. Like, let them choose which one they want to be good at, and that'll start shaping the kind of adventuring they have. Like maybe we'll do they'll have a 2nd rank in 1, 1st rank in 2, and no ranks in the 3rd, and then allocate there, and then have a preset level of renown acquired, and then we'll have to establish what their maximum rank. Like, can they have 5th rank as military but 0 rank in lore? Technically, yeah, they could technically do that if that's how they want to allocate their resources. I could see them doing that. So maybe we'll run the game that way, where they have complete decision as to how hard and far they're going to ramp something, so they can gain. Because it's not their individual characters; they're just gaining resources like troops or ships or mecha to perform combat. So if they're a 5th rank in combat, whenever they're taking attack actions and defense rolls, they'll be using a D20 plus D12 plus 5. So I mean, that's how it works. Easy enough. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's it for now. So next time when we come around, we'll take this math and we'll start. So we have the idea of how much a point of resource is worth for acquiring renown, and either resources or missions acquire renown. Maybe we can make a mission worth a point of resources, so it's 100%. Either it could flip either way. That might honestly be the easiest way to do it. I have some sussing to do, but I'm liking where this is going. So this is what we're going to set for now. When we come back on Friday, we should be able to lock down a number of these variables. So if you think this stuff is cool, we'll be back. We're going to do this 3 times a week probably until March, when we lock down the full campaign for the team to run. We do Spelljammer, combat, and exploration artwork in the mornings. So tomorrow morning we're going to continue working on creature art for the book. And then in the evenings right now we're doing Eberron token art. So if you want to check that out on Mondays and Thursdays. Saturday morning we're probably going to do more Spelljammer artwork until that clears from our plates. And then on Sunday we create a scripted video, a pre-recorded video that I publish. So if you think this stuff is cool, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, get notifications when we're live in the future. And looking forward to seeing folks on the other side. So thanks a lot.